Fresh produce is the star of today's show as Regina tops grilled vegetables with a delicious navy bean sauce. And guest chef Carrie Neff prepares a beautiful and tasty Napoleon with roasted vegetables and a chickpea lavosh. The libation for the day is a rich and creamy peaches and cream shake. And wine expert David Berkeley makes his selection of the week.
Today's show focuses on healthy living. We're here in the sun-drenched Southwest, where dining outdoors, living outdoors, exercising outdoors is all a way of life. So it's not a surprise that there are also some world-class spas here in Arizona and New Mexico. And today we're lucky enough to have with us the chef from one of the most wonderful spas called Miraval. Carrie Neff will be preparing some of his famous spa cuisine in just a little bit. But first we're going to get going on another very healthful recipe. In fact, it's becoming apparent that if you don't already have some kind of a grill, you have to pick one up, because if you're going to lighten up the diet and use more vegetables in your menus, then it's almost become indispensable to have some sort of a little grill on hand so that you can get that wonderful smoky rich flavor into your vegetables. So we're going to start with grilled vegetables. We have a variety of summer squashes and some peppers and a little bit of onion, but you can use whatever you have in your refrigerator. We'll put them over on the grill. We have just a little bit of olive oil on here, just a very light brushing of it to keep it from sticking, and some herbs. So we'll just put some vegetables on the grill, leave them alone till they develop some striping. And then we're going to start making a little different kind of sauce. Not the usual sauce you would have over vegetables. We're going to be making a white bean sauce, very Italian in its tradition. We'll get just enough for a plate or so of vegetables going here. There we go. This wonderful sauce is made with white beans. You can use any beans on hand. I like a navy bean or a white bean. If you want, you can even use a pinto. I particularly like the flavor and the texture of the white bean. And we're going to be putting cumin and garlic and a little bit of onion in with it, and later on turning it into a nice spicy puree. But first what we have to do is let these ingredients all meld together for about 8 minutes. Put the garlic and onion in with the beans and the vegetable broth, about a 1/4 teaspoon of cumin, and a little sprinkling of salt and some pepper. So we'll cover this up and let it be for the next few minutes. Okay, our vegetables are just about finished up here now. Have some lovely grill markings. And so is the sauce, about ready to go. Et voila. Now we'll just let that sweat a little bit. You get those wonderful juices with that strong vegetable flavor down in the bottom. And we'll take this off the flame. Now we will carefully put it in the blender. And then for additional flavor, we're going to add to it some roasted red bell pepper. You can do it yourself, or you can make it easier on yourself. You can also find them in jars in the supermarket. Okay, we'll do about a 1/4 cup of roasted red bell pepper. And then to give it a little bit of heat, you can use either cayenne, or if you have some chili oil on hand, a little bit of chili oil. We'll go with about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We'll go with about 8 or 10 drops of chili oil. I think it has plenty of salt in it already from earlier. And then a little bit of olive oil. We have a regular extra virgin olive oil going here. And start on low because, again, the ingredients here are hot. And we're going to make a very fine, creamy puree that's going to be drizzled over the top of the vegetables. I'm going to just drizzle this over the top of the vegetables. All of the aromas are wafting out. Beautiful. And sprinkle a little bit of freshly grated Parmesan cheese on top. And finally, a confetti of bell peppers, whatever you can find. If you can only find one color, it's still nice and fresh looking. And there you go. We've really only taken a few minutes to do this. You've just about seen it in real time outside of a 4 or 5 minute break to cook the bean sauce down. And you have something that can make a wonderful appetizer or just a nice side dish, or a perfect complement to a barbecue as well. And coming up next is Carrie Neff of Miraval. Now you can't go wrong with today's smoothie because it's called peaches and cream. Because we're using peaches, and peaches are such a delicate flavored fruit to begin with, we don't want to overwhelm it with the taste of the sweeteners. So in this case, we're not using honey nor the maple syrup that I traditionally use in my smoothies. Today we're going to use fructose instead, and I want to take just a moment to talk about fructose. There's something called a glycemic index, and it lets you know how hard the pancreas is working at putting out insulin in response to a sweetener. And on the relative scale, refined white sugar would come in at around a 90, and honey is around 70, 80, somewhere in there. And fructose comes in at 20, even though it has the same sweetness, and you can swap it out for the most part with sugar in recipes. It has a very similar, very mild flavor to it, but it does have the sweetener. Now, this is what I'm talking about with this glycemic index has nothing to do with artificial sweeteners, which I don't use in recipes. So let's get started, and we're going to go with 1 whole peach. Let's move this out of the way so you can see what's going on here. We're going to go with 1 whole peach. Of course, you want to skin it, take the stone out. And then we'll go with a little bit of banana for additional nutrients and also a little bit of texture, a little thickener. And we're using a very ripe banana, it has a lot of sugar in it. And you can go, in this particular sense, since it's spa day here, you can go with a non-fat condensed milk. You still get that richness of the cream without any of the fat. And, just enough to cover the fruit here. And I really enjoy pairing almond essence with peaches. I just think the two are perfect together. So we're going to put just a little bit, and this is strong, you don't want to put too much in, of almond essence. And we'll do just 1 nice rounded teaspoon of fructose, because we already have some banana in there, we don't need too much, and a few ice cubes. This will be ready to go. I love this every day. You never know, because this isn't a science, you never know just how your smoothie is going to turn out, but they're usually pretty wonderful. It's looking like peaches and cream to me. And we'll put it in this lovely stemmed glass. You can see that pale peach color coming through. And it's perfect, just the right amount of everything. But then again, what am I going to say? I'm drinking my own smoothies, right? I'm so excited. We're here with Carrie Neff of Miraval, and I can't wait to see what you're going to do with these recipes.
Well, what I do there is called conscious cuisine, and what I try to do is really stress how we can be more conscious about the foods in which we eat. And the biggest thing is conscious about this flavor. Where did the food come from? And then just playing with the things that are in season and having great fun with it. So right now is I like to play with some chickpeas. And so what I did was grind it up and have some chickpea flour. And so with this chickpea flour, I decided to make a little lavash, and with this lavash, we're going to end up making a Napoleon, just a fresh vegetable.
And you get a lot of extra protein out of it as well once you use that at the base of your lavash. So, okay, what goes first into the lavash?
First thing we're going to do is add some onions, Regina, and this is a really simple recipe to make. I'm going to add some onions, and I roasted some garlic, and when I do the garlic, I just lightly spray it with some olive oil, and I cover it with some foil, and I put it in a 250-degree oven for about 45 minutes. You'll see it's nice and soft. And with that, the garlic is sweet. So I have a cup of onions, about a tablespoon of garlic, and then I'm going to take some rice wine. Which
you have infused?
I have infused in fresh herbs. I do that a lot at Miraval.
Is this plain rice wine, or is it seasoned with a little bit of salt and sugar already?
Just plain.
Okay.
Now we just want to cover it, and we want to process that. And the idea is really to create liquid.
You want to pulse it or keep it on?
Keep it on. And we want to puree all of the onions and the garlic until you have a liquid, and that's what's going to form the dough. So there's no eggs, there's no water, and it's just the liquid from the onion.
Okay, so these are our liquid ingredients.
Yeah. So you want to turn it off for a second and clean the side of the bowls. Get it down there. And it's really important that this becomes very smooth into a liquid. You don't want any pieces of the onion, and that's really important because the onion pieces will come out of the dough when you roll it out.
I think we're getting close to a puree here.
Yeah. So, here's my cumin, a little pinch there, a little coriander. Can you find me a little pepper there?
Okay, just tell me when.
That would be great. I have sea salt. The next one I want to add is my chickpea flour. I need about 2 cups.
Chickpeas, if you're not already aware, and I know most of you are, is also garbanzo beans.
Now, the purpose is that if you're going to have carbohydrates, instead of in my flour or this particular dish, I'm trying to make sure there's not just empty calories. And by making this a chickpea lavash, now I not only have some additional flavors, but I also have some nutrients.
Right.
Here we are.
Okay, what is this you just added at the end?
That was semolina
Okay.
and unbleached all-purpose flour.
Now, you want me to turn it on or pulse it?
Pulse it for a second. Now turn it on. And that's it.
That's it.
That's it. You just want to grab into a dough.
You're right, you said it was quick.
Yep. And then you just turn it out. And any additional flour we might need, we'll just, just like in bread making, you're going to knead in some more flour, and I'm going to knead in some chickpea flour.
And this is not an overly dry. There's a fair amount of moisture in this flour.
That's it.
Yeah. Very good. And so what we're going to end up doing is we'll have a nice round like this, and we're going to, we don't need to show this portion because we already have some completed. We have a lot of other steps going on here today. And voila, we cook it, you want to roll it nice and thin.
Nice and thin.
You bake it at what?
I bake this at 350.
350 for about how long?
It takes about 15 minutes.
Okay, and then so you can cut it into these lovely little triangles,
or
and this will come in
rectangles.
a little bit later on in the show. So we'll clear this away and then start with the next step. You know, we haven't mentioned the name of this dish up to this point, but this is a fresh vegetable Napoleon, and it's going to be clear white. It's called that in just a moment, and we have all kinds of lovely root vegetables coming up now. So tell us what happens next.
Well, what happens first is that what we're trying to do is really emphasize the use of fresh vegetables and fresh vegetables that are in season. So right now, I'm using butternut squash, parsnips, and beets. And what I've done is cut those in batons or in sticks. And once I've done that, I also picked up a little spray bottle.
Right.
And I use this and spray on my vegetables rather than buy the aerosol.
Right.
Because I can control this. So this is extra virgin olive oil. Now I'm going to season it with sea salt and some fresh herbs. I have oregano, I have some thyme, I have some chives, and it's basically the herbs in which you care for the most. You might want to use cilantro, but the idea is to taste the vegetables.
So we're going to bake these? Or?
We're going to bake these in a really high oven, about 425, 450. It's going to take about 5 to 7 minutes. And when it happens, the natural sugars come out of the vegetables. And you'll see, this is the parsnip. You can see how moist it is. This is the beets. It looks beautiful. The butternut squash.
And actually, even just in that short amount of time, you get a fair amount of softening in the vegetables.
Yeah, they're nice and al dente.
They are.
And then, can you grab me that Swiss chard?
Okay, a little Swiss chard. Here
Now,
we
the
go.
Swiss chard, you can see, is a beautiful, beautiful
It
green.
is. This is lovely.
And we just saute that lightly. I just cut it up in small bite-sized pieces, and I saute that lightly. And
What did you saute it in?
And just olive oil.
Okay.
Olive
Little bit
oil
of
and
olive
salt
oil.
and pepper.
Okay.
Nothing more. And I'm just going to add my cooked Swiss chard to my bowl, and then all of my other vegetables, and combine them all. Now, the neat thing is that what I'm trying to show is that this is a great vegetable, but it also can be a really neat appetizer. You know, so when you have to me, a big part of cooking is having fun and enjoying and getting people inside the kitchen, and let's start assembling that.
Okay.
It's a beautiful plate. I also made a really neat.
Yes, I'm curious about this. Okay.
This is a really neat carrot broth, and this came about because I have a really cool juice bar at Marival, and I try to do all these great different juices, but I also try to figure out what else can I do with these juices. So I heated up this juice, and I seasoned it with a pinch of cinnamon, pinch of chili powder, nutmeg, and cloves.
Oh, wonderful.
And I just have a nice spicy carrot broth.
Right.
Now-
Now, you cook this down a bit?
No.
No? Not at all?
Now, as soon as it comes to a boil, you just whip in all those ingredients.
Okay.
And you can thicken it a little bit with cornstarch and water, a little slurry, if you like.
Okay. I was
That's it.
wondering why it was so thick.
Yeah.
All right.
So we have the chickpea lavash, and now we're just going to assemble this as Napoleon. And
Ooh,
now you'll see why the
lovely,
triangle
lovely.
shapes come in play.
Oh, boy. This beats those little pea pods with that much cream and cheese.
And that's
This
it.
is just gorgeous. Yeah, so now this would be, now how would this be served at the spa then?
This
Would
is an
be-
appetizer.
As an appetizer.
And actually, this is on our menu. And here I just took a balsamic syrup and I reduced it. And I can just do a little dab around.
Oh, lovely. Well, now we see why Miraval has the reputation it has. This is absolutely gorgeous. What's coming up next?
Oh, we have a really cool dish next. We have a fresh vegetable lasagna, parve, torta, whatever you might want to call it. It's potatoes and vegetables. It's really cool.
Yes, okay. And here we have a really lovely vegetable and potato torta coming up with fresh herbs and a different kind of sauce than what you normally see in a torta. Can you tell us a little bit about it? I know you're not going to prepare it, but it will be on the website.
It is on the website, and what I have here is a truffled corn sauce. And it's really simple to make. I just saute some onions and some corn kernels, and I also put little potatoes inside. And the reason for the potatoes is when I puree it, it gives it a little creamy look, mouthfeel, without adding the cream.
What is the liquid?
The liquid is just vegetable stock.
Okay.
You just use some vegetable bouillon or canned vegetable stock. The other thing that you need to do ahead of time is fire up your grill or your gas burner at home, and you want to basically roast your red bell peppers.
Really heavily char it.
Yes, and this is the bell pepper first, and then you just put it on top and it'll just char it all the way around. And then you just simply, the best thing to do is put it in a covered container, wrap it with plastic, the steam.
Sweat.
Yeah, and it's very easy to peel. You'll see it comes off very easily.
Right.
So with that, we have some...
And we've already done that. As you
Yes.
can see, the vegetables are prepared, and we have a handy-dandy mandolin.
Yeah, this is a great utensil.
They are fabulous, but I'm going to tell you, if you buy the one for home use at cooking shops, it says to use this little protective device as you start running the vegetables down. Use it. Big chunk, first time. Oh, that doesn't apply to me. Rules never apply to me. I lost quite a piece of my skin on that one.
I tend not to use that little protector.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Well, I've seen chefs' hands don't look too great.
No, they
by and
don't. You
large.
can see by my wrist. And basically, there's a lot of different attachments here. There's a crinkle cutter, a julienne, a jardiniere cutter, but there's also a slicer.
They are wonderful if you
and
use
just-
them safely.
Yes, and just go down, you have nice, even slices, and that's the purpose of it. Rather than using your knife, you have some nice, even slices.
Yeah, really uniform.
So I did
polished.
that for the potatoes as well as the butternut squash.
Wonderful. I'll get these out of the way and we can start layering.
And that's it. And that's really all of the hard work. And all of this assembly here, or your prep, what we call is your mise en place. So everything is in place. So then I took a baking pan and I lightly sprayed it with my olive oil. I cut some parchment paper and layered it. And that's going to come in play at the end of this recipe, just unmolding it. It's going to make it a lot easier.
Yes, we have a very special surprise after unmolding here.
Okay, so what you want to do is just layer the potatoes, and the only key is to make sure it overlaps just a little bit. And really the starch from the potatoes is going to keep everything together and push it together. Also, I cheat a little bit. And what I mean,
You?
yes. And what I mean by that, I do two different things in order to help this thing ensure, because I don't have the luxury of saying, oh, oops, this didn't work.
Right. Got to keep cooking.
Exactly, and by doing so, I just got some potato starch, and I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of potato starch on top, knowing that the moisture of these potatoes and vegetables are going to come out, and it's going to add to my potato starch.
Okay.
So this is what I mean by
Make sure you
cheating.
get that nice top to it.
Exactly. And now, of course, I want to season it. I want my salt, I have my fresh herbs.
Okay.
Okay, and now my butternut squash.
That is lovely. Looks like slices of cheese. It's
Yeah.
so uniform.
And I didn't do anything different other than peeling it and using the mandolin. It's just that it's just a beautiful, perfect vegetable.
And we finish up our butternut squash here. That's absolutely beautiful.
Again,
Let's put a little salt. Do you want me to do a little salt
yes,
for you?
yes, and also pepper for me, please. Okay, now the next thing we do is add our roasted peppers. These are beautiful.
This is a beautiful dish.
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun to assemble. And what's really cool, you can bring the kids inside the kitchen and get them involved. Everyone has their hands in it, and when that happens, you know what? They eat their food.
Yeah, it's true when they've been part of it.
And over here, I sauteed some portobello and some shiitake mushrooms.
And what did you?
I just just in olive oil, salt and pepper, and a little fresh herbs.
Okay.
No wine, none of those secret ingredients. And now I have fresh baby spinach. I like baby spinach because it's very tender, and I'm a little lazy. I don't have to.
You?
Yeah, you don't have to take
Chef
all the
lazy?
stems off the baby spinach.
Yeah.
If you had
They'll
the
wilt down.
yes, and it's not bitter, it's not
Just
strong.
do any more of these things?
Everything gets seasoned.
Okay. A little bit more. Woo, 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 woo.
And then really you start all over again. And you repeat this process again with my potatoes. So what you should have is 3 layers of potatoes and 2 layers of everything else.
We're down to our last layer, which is potato. It needs to finish off with the potato.
And again, the key is just making sure it overlaps just a little bit. And That's going to keep the all of the potatoes intact. Just rolling it out like a deck of cards.
And I don't know whether to be nervous or excited about this next step. I see a branding iron over there. It's going to be a little surprise finish.
Where that came in is that in the Southwest, I mean, you have these cool blacksmiths. And I have a gentleman, Stephen Brown, at my job, and he was able to make me some branding irons of our logo, a broken arrow, lightning bolts, and things like that.
Oh, wonderful. This will be fun.
And I use them.
As long as you don't use them on me, I'm happy. Any more? Little tiny bit more pepper?
Yep.
Okay. A little more.
And the next thing you're going to do is put a piece of parchment paper on here. This should be oiled as well, just to make sure it doesn't stick. And now...
This goes in the oven for how long?
Well, first thing, my last little secret is that I take a pan that's a little bit larger, and I cover it on top, and I weigh it down. You can weigh it down with water, and but I just went in the backyard and got some masonry bricks, and I just use them over and over again. And I put this in a 350-degree oven, and
You're going to bake this with this on
With this on it.
Okay, so what you want to do is have somebody else open the oven door for you.
Yes, and lift this out first.
Right.
And then lift out your
Okay,
your
here.
torte.
The parchment came up just a little bit. There we go. Okay, good.
And that goes in the oven.
Okay, well, I'll let you lift that one over. So this has been baking about an hour at 350, and let's see what's going on underneath this parchment paper.
Now, if you remember, all of the potatoes and the vegetables was at the top of the pan. You can see all the moisture cooked out. And also, I also should tell you, I should put a pan underneath it, a baking sheet or another larger pan underneath this pan. So if the moisture comes out, it doesn't smell up the entire oven.
Okay.
And then if I move this parchment paper, you'll see...
I'll take this.
Great. You'll see this beautiful...
Oh, look at that.
Potato torta.
That is lovely. Now you're going to be cutting a portion out and doing a little special branding procedure, and while we're getting that all set up, we'll go to David Berkeley and find out what he would serve with this lovely torta today.
Regina, it seems to me that this vegetable and potato torta could have some recipe variations based on the vegetable ingredients, and that would allow us to sort of refine our wine selection. For instance, given the variations in seasons for the vegetables, this dish could reflect spring and it could reflect summer. Therefore, we would serve lighter and brighter wines. Or it could require richer and deeper wines for fall and winter produce. Now, I think this dish falls into the latter category, certainly the richer, deeper flavors, primarily due to the butternut squash and the portobello mushrooms and the shiitake mushrooms. Now, if you like those big shoulders, mouth-filling, oaky Chardonnays, this really might be the time to sort of indulge yourself, because oftentimes they sort of behave like red wines. But personally, I think I'm going to opt for one of the 1999 Pinot Noirs from the Carneros region in Napa. Early tastings indicate this is really a very good vintage in 1999. And the fruit, well, those earthy mushrooms like a tasty Pinot Noir, and the sweetness of the butternut squash should be nicely complemented by the fruit of the Pinot.
Look at this marvelous creation. And you're going to show us how the strata comes together after we brand it.
Yes.
We're going to brand this.
What we have is the Merville logo, and it's really cool. You can hear the sizzle. And this great little gift item in the Southwest.
I want
You can get your
one.
initials. You can brand your own steaks or
Oh, I want
your fiance.
one. Or your fiance.
And the key is to get it really, really hot. I didn't get it as hot as I would like it. But, and then we would cut the torta.
I want to see what this looks like once we peel it away. This is lovely. You know, after today, oh, look at that. Look at the colors. That is absolutely beautiful.
Glass just a little bit.
This is absolutely lovely, and I am no longer afraid of spa cuisine, thanks to you, Carrie. And again, all your time and effort is very much appreciated.
I really appreciate being
Until
there.
next time.
Thank you.
Santé.
To find out more about Regina's Vegetarian Table, visit our PBS online website at pbs.org.